These are this afternoon's top stories. Junior Carnival kicks off today. Guyana's government to rebrand ministries, and Cosby charged with sex crime dating to 2004. Good afternoon and welcome to the ZIZ Midday Newscast. Today is Thursday, 31st December 2015. I am JD Keynes. In national news, hundreds of school children will be filling the streets of Bastia with color today in the 2015 Junior Carnival Parade. Students from 19 schools will be taking part, divided into various troops. The troops for the preschool students depict plants and flowers, fairies and bees. For the primary school troops, the sections are Ocean Beauty, I Grant You Life, Dusk to Dawn, Secret of Wings, and We Soar. Marketing representative for the parade, Unoma Allen, told ZIZ News that talented teen contestants are also expected to take part in their creative wear costumes from the national pageant. The parade is slated to begin at 1:30 p.m. at the Clarence Fitzroy Bryant College, then travel along Keon Street, turn right onto Church Street, right onto College Street, left onto the Bay Road, left onto 4th Street, right onto Keon Street, right onto West Independence Square Street, and ending at the Independence Square. The highly anticipated Inception Fete 6 is set for tonight at Fort Thomas Grounds. This morning, Thursday, ZIZ Radio and Television provided live coverage of a press conference which addressed the details of that event. Here's more.
Inception Fete officials and international entertainers hosted a press conference at the Marriott Resort on Thursday morning to give the public more information about what to expect at the event that night. Chairman of the Inception Fete Committee, Anthony Johnson, said they've raised the bar and will be provided more drinks, more mugs, and an overall better experience for patrons. Coyote Sutton spoke on security measures for the event and said there are several measures in place to ensure safety for everyone. The lineup includes reggae star Christopher Martin, the Queen of Bacchanal Destra Garcia, TV personality AJ Calloway, New Fork, and DJ Magic Flows. Jason Davis for ZIZ News.
St. Kitts and Nevis's largest media organization, ZIZ Broadcasting Corporation, has given television viewers an opportunity to see the top news stories for 2015 through a special program dubbed Rewind Year in Review. The program first aired on Sunday, December 27th, and will be rebroadcast periodically starting tonight following the Nevis newscast. The 1.5-hour long presentation is divided into 4 parts, with myself, acting senior news editor, recapping the top stories in labor, politics and elections, foreign affairs and national security. Editor Jason Davis looking at stories in health, agriculture, infrastructure and tourism. News anchor Carla Berridge looking at stories in education and training, youth, ZIZ and community and social development, and reporter Kailoni Johnson recapping top stories in culture, carnival and sports. Regionally, President David Granger says Guyana's government will soon be rebranding 2 ministries.
There will be no reshuffling in 2016. However, there will be the renaming of 2 ministries, according to President David Granger.
Ministries are to be renamed. We now have 16 ministries, and we will remain with 16 ministries, but 2 ministries will be renamed.
Any possible idea with the names of these ministries?
I would like to announce it to my colleagues first. We've had discussions, but by close of play today.
In what sectors?
In public telecommunications and in natural resources.
At present, the Department of Natural Resources and the Environment is an arm of the Ministry of the Presidency and is under the ambit of Governance Minister Raffle Trotman. Minister Trotman is also one of 16 sitting members of Cabinet. The President also said there will be no structural adjustments in government.
We feel that the change in name would emphasize the thrust that the government will be taking in those 2 major areas, information technology largely and natural resources.
Speaking on projections for 2016, President Granger said there are several areas that would inform his government's policies for the new year, and they include national unity, security and infrastructure. Reporting for Capital News, I for Wharton.
Despite international assistance from security agencies, St. Lucia's Acting Commissioner of Police Errol Alexander conceded that U.S. sanctions have affected operations in 2015.
The alleged unlawful police killings of 12 people during a 2010-2011 anti-crime strategy later led to U.S. sanctions against the Royal St. Lucia Police Force. This meant that personnel were barred from U.S.-funded training and the security force could not receive technical assistance and hardware. During a wide-ranging Q&A with the local media on December 30th, Acting Commissioner of Police Errol Alexander conceded the sanctions have affected operations. Nevertheless, he reveals the police department has had to depend on other security partners for aid.
Well, with the exception of the U.S., some of our other stakeholders like the French, the European Union, and some of these other areas, as far as India, we have been getting assistance and training from these areas. We have been also sourcing some from the regional security system and those that are not American sponsored.
In the wake of a CARICOM impacts probe into the police killings, more officers have reportedly been barred from entering the United States. However, the acting top cop disclosed that there are exceptions.
But nevertheless, you know how it is with we getting funds from America, because these are our main sources of assistance. Fortunate for me, when I attended the intersessional meeting in Miami, ACCP's intersessional meeting in Miami, I was cleared to attend some workshop at the FBI headquarters in Miami. I mean, that is a step moving forward.
Ahead of the start of 2016, Errol Alexander revealed some of his New Year's resolutions for the police force.
My wish for the New Year's would be that the whole impact situation be resolved so that it's not hanging over the Royal St. Lucia Police Force. And in addition to that too, the senior officers who are acting, because we have almost 95% of the senior officers ranks who are acting, the confirmations are done, more or less to bring to the core the level of confidence and motivation moving forward.
Recently, the government of St. Lucia formally advertised the vacancy for the post of Commissioner of Police. With well over 3 decades experience as a cop, Alexander has not ruled out submitting an application for the job.
Internationally, on Wednesday, Bill Cosby was arrested in the twilight of his life and career and charged with a decade-old sex crime after a barrage of accusations from dozens of women made a mockery of his image as TV's wise and understanding Dr. Cliff Huxtable. Here's more.
Entertainer Bill Cosby is free on $1 million bail tonight after appearing in a courtroom near Philadelphia to address the first criminal charges ever filed against him after scores of women have accused him of sexual assault. The charges come as the statute of limitations for felony sexual assault in Pennsylvania was due to expire next month, which would be 12 years after the encounter at his home. A lawyer for the accuser says that they are troubled that it took 12 years for the charges to be filed, but they say they are encouraged that it means the current prosecutor believes her statement, and they hope it will encourage more women to come forward. She says she was at his home when the entertainer gave her 3 pills that she thought was herbal medication, and that she then became drowsy and woke up later in the night believing she had been sexually assaulted. Prosecutors say the aggravated indecent assault charges stem in part from the fact that Andrea Constand was impaired that night at Cosby's house. They say she was frozen, could not move or shout out when he was sexually assaulting her. The two were friends, and she said he was a trusted friend who gave her 3 pills that she believed to be herbal medication. Cosby, in depositions unsealed this year, says they were Benadryl. The charges come after the Associated Press went to court to unseal documents from the 2004 civil lawsuit that Andrea Constand had filed and settled with Cosby. The deposition shows Cosby acknowledging getting Quaaludes in the 1970s in order to give women he hoped to have sex with, and also acknowledging a series of affairs over the years. Cosby calls the encounters consensual, but today the prosecutors have said at least one they believe was criminal.
The French Interior Minister has condemned last week's violence in Corsica while visiting the Mediterranean island. On Friday, protesters vandalized the Muslim prayer room on a housing estate where 2 firefighters were attacked a day earlier. Al Jazeera's Jonah Hall reports from Ajaccio.
In a prolonged state of emergency and with community relations badly damaged, France is still feeling the after effects of the attacks in Paris. The French island of Corsica in the Mediterranean has its own identity and harbours notions of separatism. It's the latest scene of racist violence since the attacks.
Calm has to return. This is a beautiful little island, but if things continue like this, people will be frightened to come here.
On Christmas Eve, in this housing estate, home to a large North African immigrant population, hooded youths lit a fire, luring firemen in, who were then attacked. Uniformed firemen are seen as symbols of the state, and ambush situations like this one are pretty common in France. Last year alone, hundreds of firemen were attacked in similar circumstances. But it's never happened here in Corsica. In response, an angry crowd ransacked a local Muslim prayer room, and demonstrators chanted racist slogans.
We heard racist slogans such as Arabs out, but that's not like Corsica. They shouted "Go home," but this is our home.
The French government has been quick to respond, the Interior Minister here touring the scene and talking to residents.
I want to express my utmost condemnation of those who've committed racist and xenophobic acts that have no place on this island.
Napoleon was born on this island, but it's not French nationalism that's taken hold here. Instead, Corsican separatists have recently gained control of the island's legislature.
We are, as everyone knows, engaged in a struggle for the autonomy of Corsica and recognition of the rights of the Corsican people. But this struggle is inseparable from a vision of openness, generosity, tolerance and humanity.
Whether the Christmas violence here is connected to the separate identity that many Corsicans feel, or part of a wider reaction to the Paris attacks, it's a further sign of how far France has to go to reunite its divided communities. Jonah Hull, Al Jazeera, Ajaccio, Corsica.
And now taking a look at the weather, temperatures today will peak at 77 degrees Fahrenheit with a moderate breeze blowing from the east to northeast at 19 miles per hour. Today and tonight will be partly cloudy with a chance of a few passing showers, becoming locally cloudy at times with periods of quick passing showers. Seas are rough with waves of up to 9 feet. A warning remains in effect for small craft operators and sea bathers. Sunset for today will be at 5:47 and sunrise for tomorrow will be at 6:39 a.m. That brings us to the end of ZIZ's Midday Newscast. Join us this evening for these stories and more in detail. Thanks for tuning in. I'm JD Keynes. Have a wonderful afternoon.